What is up YouTube, Jamie the Kid 00 here, bringing you guys my first deck profile from the brand new set, Duelist Alliance or Duelist Advent, depending on which version of the Yu-Gi-Oh card game you play. I'm really sorry again, I should have been uploading this a lot earlier, but there have been more issues impeding my progress in recording. We had a very successful weekend at the Sneaks. Collectively, we both won. Well, my fiance won our Saturday sneak peek and then proceeded to win the Sunday sneak peek as well after we both met in the finals of that sneak peek. And I went X1 at the sneak peek beforehand. So we had some really successful games in the pre-releases. Came home with 2 mats of the set. I came home with this completed deck, which I managed to completely trade for on the 2 days. And big thanks to my fiance as well, who was integral in getting both the Dantes. In fact, she pulled one. So otherwise, I have nothing much else to say about the sneak peek weekend. Sadly, I do not possess any Shaddoll, Satellarknight, or forgotten the other one, Yang Zing cards at the moment because I'm quite strapped for cash, and everything for that I sold instantaneously because money. I'm probably going to be putting together Shaddolls in the next while, or Satellarknights, depending on which one we get more of. We also won a box on the Sunday sneak peek. The winner of that won a box. And we've also got another box incoming as well. So I will have a double box Duelist Advent opening coming Saturday night. And then probably Sunday night I will have some coverage from the Brotherhood Open tournament, which I'm planning on attending, possibly with this deck, possibly with something else. So we're going to get into the profile. I'm going to stop boring you with blurb. And I should probably put a timestamp at the top. Also, apologies for any glare. I couldn't get the lighting right, so this is currently being illuminated by my phone. And I tried to record this on the most appropriate mat possible. So we're going to start the profile off with 3 copies of Tour Guide from the Underworld. Tour Guide from the Underworld is the most integral card in this deck. If you open this card, you should win the game. This will set you up so well. Like, I can't even stress how well this sets you up in tandem with this wonderful card the deck has access to. So 3 copies of Tour Guide from the Underworld. Now we're going to move on to the Malebranche in the form of 3 copies of Scarm, Malebranche of the Burning Abyss. Scarm was, of course, the first one of these of the Burning Abyss archetype announced alongside Dante, their Xyz monster, and this was the card that blew me away the moment I saw it. Scarm's effect is in the end phase of the turn in which he is sent to the graveyard, among his other effects that people should already know. He can search your deck for a level 3 Dark Fiend type monster and add it to your hand, except himself. So he can search any other one of your Malebranche, or he can also search your Tour Guide, which is incredibly relevant. Next, we're going to move on to, I don't know, I guess probably the most combo-oriented Malebranche, in the form of triple Graff. Graff's effect, other than, of course, the standard effects of Burning Abyss monsters, is when during the turn he is sent to the graveyard, at the moment he is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 Burning Abyss monster from your deck except Graff. This leads into some beautiful combo plays. I'll probably make a couple of little combo videos later on for just like cool little things you can do. I say combo, it's more of a little thing you can do to generate like double Dante turn 1, things like that. Graff is just very important in that. And then we're going to move on to the final Malebranche that has currently been released. Though it started off as my least favorite, but has actually become my favorite sleeper card of the set of the 3, and that's Kerr Malebranche of the Burning Abyss. Kerr's effect is similar to Graff's, except it special summons from the graveyard instead of special summoning from the deck. Now, at first I thought that was going to be quite bad, because of course it takes some setup, so Graff was infinitely superior in my opinion. I then actually read the fact that it summons any Burning Abyss monster in your graveyard. Not just a Malebranche, any Burning Abyss monster in your graveyard. And that can include, and we're back to him again, Dante. Now, you'll think, oh, you're only bringing back a 1,000 attack Dante with 2,500 defense. I get it, it's a cool wall, but that's about all it gets you. Actually, it gets you a little bit more than that, but we'll get to that shortly when you see some of the other selections in the deck. This is all of the core monsters we play. We play 12 core monsters. The rest can all be described as boss monsters or hand traps, but believe me, this is not a tragically small number. It's actually a very fair number. I actually really like this number, so without crushing everything, we're going to pick these up, move them out of the way, and move on to the bossier bits and pieces in the list. And then playing double Caius the Shadow Monarch in the list. This is something that's been a very experimental card for me. It's something that it's changing numbers rapidly. I'm not sure how I feel about having it in the deck. It's definitely something that I will side deck, but in the main deck it's very questionable. But it's an out to almost anything, and it's out to the biggest threat this deck actually has in the form of El Shaddai, Midrash, or Winder, as people who will have seen its name change will know as. But Midrash, I'm probably still going to call it Midrash for a while. Caius is just your very strong out to that. You just special summon a Malebranche, tribute for Caius. Caius will get its effect, and of course your Malebranche will get its effect as well. So if you tribute it to Scarm, that's just money for you. Like, you're just setting up incredibly well. So double Caius. I then play for the hand traps, triple effect Veiler. I don't want to lose to Infernity, and I don't want to lose to Satellanites. And some situations this is good against Shaddolls. Like, it's just a relevant card again, in my opinion. So it's been putting in a lot of work for me. But this is something that, again, could come out. The main reason it's been put in here is for Chaos fodder. But it's also pretty good at keeping you alive. I then play double Chaos Sorcerer, Chaos fodder, and Dante is a light. So it's just a really cool boss monster. It's one of my favourite cards in the game, and I'm glad to be able to play it again. And then, of course, if you have room for Chaos Sorcerer, you can, of course, play the Big Boss Man, Blackluster Soldier, and with this amount of Grave Manipulation, we also play one copy of the big man himself, Dark Armed Dragon. So, boss monsters, you can see where this deck is going. It's just push, push, push. And that's actually the complete monster lineup. It's pretty simple. It's just core floaters and boss monsters. So, in a way, similar to Chaos Dragons, I guess. Then we move on to the spells. And this is where some interesting stuff is going to come up. So, we're going to start off with the staple 1 Dark Hole, because you need to clear your board if you're going to make push, push, push plays. 1 Book of Moon, again, a strong out to the Midrash problem, which is actually a huge problem for the deck. Like, there's loads of outs to Midrash in this. Out to the Midrash problem, out to all sorts of other problems as well. Foolish Burial, this can trigger any one of your Malebranches, so you've got to play this, because it's like a somewhat rota. Or it can be like a special summon from the deck card if you Foolish Graff. Allure, you're playing almost all darks. And then we're going to move on to my actual favourite card, favourite spell in the deck. We play 3 copies of Rank Up Magic Astral Force. As anyone who will have seen Jeff Jones's Red Rum deck will know, Astral Force is silly. And I noticed a conversation on Zodiac Duelist the other day saying that any deck that has to play this to be good is terrible, but I don't agree with that at all, because this is an accentuation to what is already an okay floating deck, and it just gives an okay floater deck, toolbox deck even, access to Pleiades, and Bram is silly good. Like, I don't understand that actual statement saying that this card makes a deck bad. I don't understand that at all. This card is insane. And I then play 3 copies of Pot of Dichotomy, because, and yes, this may seem cloggy, but it's really not, because the moment you make an Xyz play, this is going to be live. You play a fair few spellcasters, you play a fair few other types, but the moment you make an Xyz play, this should be live. So believe me, Triple Dichotomy, it does clog occasionally for me, but usually the only time it clogs is if I open it. If I don't open it, and I open Tour Guide, it's live, instantly. And it's so good. It's really, really good in this list. Especially with the amount of milling you're going to be doing with your Dantes as well. It's incredibly relevant. So that is, you could cut one. Like, I suppose I wouldn't penalise anyone for cutting one. And that brings us finally to the trap lineup. The traps are fairly simple. They are 3 copies of Phoenix Wing Windblast. Phoenix Wing Windblast is a very, very strong trap in the deck, simply because it triggers all of your Burning Abyss monsters, so strong. Double Breakthrough skill, you're going to mill it, you're going to send it off with Windblast. It's out to Midrash, so it's in there. I felt it's better than Chain in this list. And then we move on to the one-offs in Compulse, out to Midrash. Bottomless Trap Hole, it's just so strong. Torrential and Solemn Warning for obvious reasons, because they're 2 of the best traps in the game. So we're going to move on to the extra deck, and then I'll talk about why Kerr is so good, I guess, with this card. So we're going to start off the extra deck with 2 copies of Dante, Traveller of the Burning Abyss. Dante is incredible. His ability to mill 3 cards and make himself a Leviathan Dragon for the turn is great. But then when you couple it with the fact that he's a card trooper that can mill 3, and then when he attacks, he can change himself to defense so that he's not a life point liability. And then you also add in the fact that he is a floater, so he is a true card trooper Xyz. The fact that he's a floater and he can add a Burning Abyss monster back to your hand is incredible. So Dante is so good, and I can't stress that enough. Also, his effect is worded so that even if he's detached as an excuse material, so if you Astral Force him, he is still going to get his effect, and there is no situation in which he can miss timing. His effect is not mandatory, but it's an if. So good. We then play 2 Alucard. You need outs to opponent's back row, so Alucard is very relevant in that respect. Acid Golem, you hardly make this, but sometimes you need to beat over really big things that rank 3s just generally can't get rid of. Grenosaurus points to people who can understand this card before you actually see the card that it's actually in here for. But I've actually won games with this as well. Tempo, solid card. Fortune Tune, so good in my opinion. Like, I mean, I've been considering taking it out, but if you play for time, and if someone's going to be reading my cards, because I'm taking, if I take this to a locals on the first week of this deck being available, people are going to be reading my cards. I'm going to go into time, and Fortune Tune is going to win me the games in time. Also, shout outs to Ian for sorting me out with this Grenosaurus. Thank you, bro. I finally managed to get it in a profile. And then the last rank 3 I'm playing is something that I'm testing in the form of wind-up Zen mains. I'm testing this over... forgotten its name now. Mech-Whipped Engineer, simply because this actually gives me access to removal of cards that Alucard can't remove. Sometimes you have to remove certain threats from the table, so Zen Mains is in there. Then we move on to the rank 5s for Astral Force in the form of, if I can push all these cards away, 2 copies of Crimson Knight Vampire Bram. The ability to make this card in this deck is silly, so why wouldn't you? 1 Volcasaurus, because you can make it over Granosaurus. And then 2 copies of Pleiades, because Pleiades is, in my opinion, one of the best Xyz monsters in the game. I absolutely love it to pieces, and if you can make it over Dante, why wouldn't you? And then something that I'm testing because I'm playing a multitude of 6s, and I'm playing Pleiades, is Ptolemy M7, because M7 is pretty strong. So yeah, guys, that brings me to the end of my actual list. There are other choices that I want to have in this list. Sadly, I'm on a bit of an information embargo, because a few of my kind of teammates have been hooking me up with information that I'm not privy to release at this point, so I'm respecting their wishes. Some of them may wish to play the deck in the event, so I'm not going to reveal their tech choices. But what I will reveal is one of my favourite plays in the deck, which includes this card, Astral Force, wherever it is, and usually Windblast. It usually includes Windblast, so if we get one of those out, then of course it's going to include Pleiades by that logic. Right. One of the coolest things about this deck you can do is mid to late game, oh, sorry, I've kicked the tripod, I believe. Mid to late game, you're more than likely going to have milled an Astral Force, you're going to have had a Dante, and he's going to have gone to grave, you're going to have a Windblast set, this is in the extra deck, and a Cur in hand, or say the Cur's on the field. If a situation arises in which that Cur would be destroyed by battle and get your Dante, or in your opponent's end phase you can Windblast one of their back rows and send the Cur, you can then special summon the Dante out of the graveyard with the Cur, and then proceed to your turn and skip your draw phase to add this to your hand, and then you can immediately play it to get a Pleiades straight out of the extra deck. And it's a really nice way to make that free Pleiades without having to kind of actually draw this. It makes the add back to your hand effect relevant, because if you add it back to your hand, you can't actually special summon except by its effect for the rest of that turn. So it's kind of painful, but the Sir lets you add this back, and even if your opponent has a way to deal with it when it comes to the field, you can just add the Sir straight back to your hand, which is pretty damn cool. And then even if you're making these plays and you make Pleiades and activate its effect, you can detach the Dante, get the Sir to your hand, and then if it's your turn, you can normal summon this Sir. The Sir will then kill itself to get the Dante out of your graveyard, and you've got 35 here. So it's pretty nice. You can do some pretty cool things with Sir and Dante. But yeah, guys, that's about everything I'm going to share at the moment. I hope you've all enjoyed. I'm really in love with this deck, and my voice is failing me, so I'm glad I'm actually finishing now. It's been a long few days. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed. I hope this has given you a bit of an insight into your Burning Abyss lists. Yes, for those of you who are going to ask, I have tested Curry Bandit, and I have tested other things like that, and Dark Creator, and they're irrelevant. Curry Bandit is very improper for the deck, because you want to be using these to make your combo plays, not just milling them and getting random things to the field. Also, Dark Creator is completely irrelevant, and I don't understand why anyone would actually play it in the deck, because what do you actually summon with it? Like, ask yourself, what does Dark Creator actually get you? Dark Creator just special summons one of these, and then because Dark Creator isn't a Burning Abyss, it dies. So, That's it. I don't understand why people would play Dark Creator. Unless you're playing, like, it can get, in my list, it can get me back a Caius, but I don't know what you guys are playing that it can get back, because, hell if I know. But yeah, that's about everything I wanted to say. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope this has given you a bit of an insight. I do not have a side deck to share with you guys. I'm sorry to say that. So please, do not ask for a side. Check the links in the description for my Facebook page and the deck list. And also, please feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more content that is similar to this. And share this with your friends if you think they'd want to see a list. This has been Jamie the Kid 00, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Bye-bye.